Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're not just talking about reading, we're going to become architects. Yeah, you heard me. We are going to lay out the actual science-backed blueprint for building strong, confident readers piece by piece. So, have you ever seen this happen? It's this puzzle that drives parents and teachers crazy. A kid can read every single word on a page like perfectly, but then you ask them, "So, what was that about?" And you just get this blank stare. It's wild, right? And it points to this really crucial truth. Just saying the words out loud is not the same thing as actually reading. Okay, so how do we solve this thing? Well, we're going to follow a 4-part blueprint. First up, we'll figure out what the real goal of reading even is. Then, we'll pour that unbreakable foundation. After that, we're putting up the walls with 5 core practices. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together to create a reader for life. All right, first things first, let's talk about the real goal here, because this is where a lot of us get tripped up. The point of reading isn't just to say the words right. I mean, that's part of it, sure, but that's just decoding. The real goal, the whole point of this entire project, is comprehension. It's about building meaning from what's on the page. And this is the official definition. And I want you to really look at the words they use here. Words like extracting, constructing, interaction. See? These are all action words. Comprehension isn't passive. It's not something that just happens to you when you look at a page. It's a super active thinking process where the reader has to build the meaning themselves. So the big question is, how do we get there? You know, you can't build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand, right? It's the exact same thing with reading. Before we can even think about those cool comprehension strategies, we have to make sure the foundation is absolutely solid. And lucky for us, decades of research, like real scientific research, have pointed to 4. Count them, 4 essential pillars. These are totally non-negotiable. They hold up the entire building. And here they are: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, and vocabulary. Now you gotta think of these as a team. They all have to work together. First, you have to be able to hear the tiny sounds and words. That's phonemic awareness. Then you connect those sounds to letters on the page. That's phonics. Then comes fluency, and this one is so key. It's not about being the fastest reader. It's about being so smooth that your brain isn't struggling with every single word. That frees up all this mental energy for the real job, understanding what you're reading. And of course, vocabulary. You have to know what the words mean. If you've got a crack in any one of these pillars, the whole structure gets wobbly. You know, for years, there was this huge debate about the best way to build this foundation. You might have heard of it. One idea was called whole language, and the thinking was that kids would just sort of pick up reading naturally, the same way they learn to talk. But here's the thing. The science is crystal clear on this now. Reading is not a natural process. Our brains literally aren't born wired for it. That's why systematic phonics, directly teaching kids the code that connects sounds and letters, is so much more effective. It's a code, and it has to be taught. Okay, so our foundation is solid. Now it's time to build the actual house. This is the master blueprint, the real meat of it. It's made up of 5 core practices, and every single one is backed by solid evidence. Right, so here they are, the 5 core practices. These are the tools in our building kit. And these aren't just vague ideas. There are specific, intentional actions you can take that turn kids from just saying words out loud into actual active thinkers. So let's open up the toolbox and look at each one. Tool number 1, teach comprehension strategies. Honestly, the best way to think about these is like giving kids reading superpowers. For real, they're actual mental tools. Like predicting, where you use clues to make a smart guess about what's next. Or questioning, which basically turns you into a story detective, always hunting for answers. And my favorite, visualizing, where you literally create a movie in your head based on what you're reading. Okay, but how in the world do you teach a superpower? It's actually pretty straightforward. There's this super effective framework called the gradual release of responsibility. Sounds complicated, but it's just I do, we do, you do. First, the teacher shows how it's done. That's the I do. Then everyone practices it together as a group. That's the we do. And finally, the student is ready to do it all by themselves. That's the you do. Simple, right? But so powerful. And check this out. This is a perfect example of that I do step in action. This is what it sounds like when a teacher models visualizing by just thinking out loud. By making their internal thought process external, They're giving kids a perfect blueprint for how to do it themselves. It's like letting them see inside a pro reader's brain.
All right, our next tool in the kit is teaching text structure, and this is a game changer. It's basically like giving a reader a map before they enter a new land. If they know ahead of time whether they're reading a story with a beginning, middle, and end, or an article that's comparing two different things, well, they can navigate that information so much better. It helps their brain organize everything.
Practice number 3 is all about discussion. But, not just any random chat. We're talking about high-quality discussions that go way beyond what happened in the chapter. And there is a magic question that unlocks everything. Are you ready? It's what in the text makes you say that? That one simple follow-up question is everything. It forces students to go back to the book and find evidence for their ideas. So powerful. Now, obviously, you can't have a great discussion or practice a new strategy with just any old book. And that brings us to tool number 4. Picking the right text for the right job. This is so important. The book you choose isn't an afterthought. It's a strategic decision. You're choosing a specific tool to help you achieve a specific goal, whether that's practicing predicting or having a debate about a character's choices. And our 5th and final practice is all about motivation. Let's just be real for a second. Learning to comprehend well is hard work. It takes a lot of mental energy. And kids are way more likely to put in that effort if they're motivated. So how do we do that? We show them the real-world reasons for reading, we give them chances to succeed, we let them have some choices, and we let them work together. It makes all the difference. Okay, so let's zoom out. We've poured the foundation. We've used our 5 core practices to build the structure. But there's one last really crucial step. This isn't just a checklist where you do one thing on Monday and another on Tuesday. The real magic, the thing that makes the house a home, is when all these things get woven together every single day. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It's about intentionally weaving these strategies into the fabric of your daily teaching. It's not about isolated drills. It's about creating this rich environment where all these tools work in harmony, empowering students to stop being passive readers and start being active creators of meaning. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Teaching kids to really understand what they read isn't some big, unsolvable mystery. It's a science. There's a blueprint, it's based on evidence, and it works. And when we use it, we all become architects of understanding. We're building something that will empower these kids for their entire lives. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that you've seen the blueprint, whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just someone who cares about this stuff, what's the one thing you can do starting today to help build a lifelong reader? Thanks for joining me.